We've been on a tragedy.
Well, sometimes it be that way.
Yeah.
All right, so this week, what you doing?
I'm trying to get comfortable. Jesus.
We are talking about trust, since that was the next topic from our original video. Trust in a relationship and how trust has helped us over these last 2 decades. Man, tell me how you really feel.
You've been yawning all day.
I have not been yawning.
Yes, you have.
Anyway, so trust. Needless to say, trust in our relationship and trust in any relationship, I feel, is key to a lasting relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Trust is the thing that's one of the most important things in a relationship, and I think one of the hardest to come back from if that trust has been violated.
Agreed.
Yes. But I think when people think trust, they think about...
Oops, sorry.
Yep, there we go. They think about infidelity.
Nope.
That trust, which, yeah, that's a big trust.
Yeah.
And that's some trust violations that a lot of relationships, unfortunately, have to deal with.
Yeah.
So I think we'll talk about that, but we ain't got no experience in that department. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. But there's trust in various different ways.
Yes.
So
agreed.
Yes. So the first one that you're going to discuss,
me,
yes, is trust as far as vulnerability goes. Trust in knowing that you have faith that you can be vulnerable around your partner and why that's important.
Yes. So when we think about trust, or my mom is falling asleep. Okay. Or we talk about trust. For me, like he said, I don't think about trust as far as cheating or infidelity and things like that. When I think about trust, I think about, can I trust you with me? I always tell Nick that, I have to feel safe. You have to be my safe place. Can I trust that I can be vulnerable with you? So that's something that's very important. Like you said, people think about trust. They think about, oh, I don't trust him. He did this, he did, or she did this, she did that. And when you are in a relationship, like a for real relationship, like an adult relationship, like that is the furthest from, I think, what most people think about. Most people think about, like he said, can I trust you with me? Can I trust you with my heart? Can I trust you with my feelings? Can I trust you with my insecurities? Can I trust you to be vulnerable with you? And that's a big deal. Men and women, that's a huge deal to be able to have that person where you can have that type of trust with.
And for men, I know for me, I won't speak for all men, period, but it takes a while before you can truly be vulnerable, because that's not something that society tells us that we can be. Mm-hmm. Society does not tell us, man, that we can cry, or we can express emotions, or we can express anything that takes away from our masculinity.
Yes.
So for me, one of the reasons I knew that you was the one for me was because I could be vulnerable around you. I didn't have to worry about you bringing it back up, because look, I've seen it happen where, apparently outside of my view, a couple has had, some vulnerable times, and then they get upset and the woman tossed that back in the man's face.
Yes, which is not great.
And you talk about wanting to shut down and not cross that vulnerability point again. That's what it 100% do it. So I know for me, knowing that I have somebody here, that when I come home from this profession that I love, but it is definitely an alpha type of a profession. Knowing I can come home and be vulnerable, with my wife, definitely makes things easier, because whether you know it or not, you need somebody that you can be vulnerable with and let them know what your fears are, let them know what your insecurities are, things like that. I've seen guys in the military who don't have that, and they seem miserable. I feel bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing, just making sure that, as you guys grow in your relationship, speaking to, my oldest son, making sure you don't cross the line. It's easy to be faithful.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Don't put yourself in situations. If I'm at class right now, and if I was going to Walmart and one of my female class students was like, "Hey, you going to Walmart? Can I ride with you?" I'm be like, "Hey y'all, who else want to go?" And if nobody else want to go, guess what? We ain't going. Not because I don't trust myself. Just I would never put myself in situations like that where anything could possibly remotely happen. So that part is easy. But that vulnerability part, you can, and I could even make a mistake and do something that I don't want to say breaks that vulnerability trust, but like maybe touches a nerve that I didn't intend to, but it did. So I have to be, overly cautious to make sure that I'm not violating that trust, so that she can always feel comfortable being vulnerable around me.
Good job, husband.
Thank you. Now, trust in, I got it listed as trust in goals. But what I mean is, now I'll take this one first and then you take this one. So, many, many years ago, I knew that my current professional position did not afford me the opportunity to get the things in life that I wanted to and raise my family house. So I knew I had to make some big decisions. And I was able to come home to my wife and I was able to tell her, hey, I am currently here, but I want to get to this specific place professionally. That place professionally was becoming a commissioned officer in the United States Army. One, because it was a lifelong dream, but two, because it was something that I knew was going to be financially, a financial improvement for the family. But there were a lot of decisions that came with that, from enrolling back into school, to enrolling in ROTC, and then quitting my job, which it already wasn't paying a lot. So I had to, quit my job to be able to tackle these or go after these goals full time. And, I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous. So I wrote a 6-page letter, front and back. And as she was, I don't think I ever told you this, as she's reading this letter, which outlined all of my goals, where I wanted to get to, this jump I want to make, as she's reading, I'm like, I hope she don't laugh. I hope she don't, like,
really?
Yeah. I was like, man, I hope you don't, like, she could have, when your husband tell you while you're pregnant, because you were pregnant at the time, or they just gotten pregnant with Gabe, tells you, hey, I want to do all these things that is going to put us in a financial strain for the next 3 to 4 years. I can only imagine that she was going to look at that and not necessarily laugh, but be like, this is not something that we can do. No, absolutely not. Figure something else out. So as she's reading the letter, I'm like, oh man, I hope, that, she's goes along with my goals here and my dreams.
Really?
Yep.
I would never laugh at you.
Yeah. And I don't mean necessarily laugh, but like
support your dreams.
Yeah, like you weren't gonna support, like, because it was a lot to talk about in that thing, and it was a lot. I mean, we could talk for the next 6 hours about everything we went through from the time I wrote that letter to the time that I walked across that stage and they pinned those lieutenant bars on me. Yeah, there was so much involved in that, and a lot of it we saw coming and stuff we did see. So I had to trust that I could express my goals and my dreams to her, and she was going to be supportive. She could have not been supportive and been like, hey, this is, why we can't do this. But, and still wouldn't have violated the trust. But she was. And I can't remember what it was, but I remember the feeling of like, oh, I didn't spend this time writing these 12 pages. And she's just like, let's do it. So for me, what that did was that knew if I could take that goal to her, then I could take any goal. And I didn't have to be fearful. I think a lot of times people don't go after their goals because individually there's not that trust that they can make it happen. But if they're in a relationship, I think, is my partner going to go along with this? And I think that maybe stops a lot of people from going after. So that's what I mean when I say trust in goals. What do you think about that?
I guess for me, it's just a little different. I've always felt like I could trust you with my goals, because you've always been extremely supportive. I didn't trust myself to follow through with my goals. That's been one of the biggest struggle, just feeling inadequate, or a little incompetent, or insecure and things like that. But you've always encouraged me and always supported me, well, telling me, babe, you could do it, or I'll even help you. So you've always been supportive, and helping me with my goals and things that I want to do. And I don't think it's just because I've done it for you. I think it's just the type of person that you are. I think you would support me, no matter what. But I mean, it's very important to have somebody who supports you in your dreams and in your goals and in things that you want to do for the betterment of your family. And even if you go to someone with something you want to do, even though that goal may not be feasible right now, if you guys sit down and come up with a plan to make that come true, then that's all you can ask, is that you guys communicate, and come up with something together. Because a lot of times when we come up with stuff, sometimes things aren't well thought out just because this is what I want to do. You haven't gotten to the meat and the potatoes of it yet. So a lot of times it's just kind of, the beginning, like you're making your roux, and then, you got to get to the rest of it, as you go on. But just having that beginning communication, but you've got to make sure your relationship is solid, because, it's not fair for someone to stifle their dreams because they feel like they can't be vulnerable enough to share them with you. So in return, what's going to happen is that they're going to be miserable. They're going to end up resenting you because you didn't support them. So again, that goes back to what we've talked about a couple sessions ago, is communication. You've got to communicate. That is the biggest thing. Communication can make or break any relationship, especially when you guys are in a place of vulnerability.
I remember when we were going through, was it 2008?
What happened in 2008?
When we was trying to hold on to our house.
Oh, yeah.
And
was that 8?
It's 2000, yeah, I think 2008. Or 2009.
No, we had already had Isabel.
No, because she came towards the end. We were pretty much skating towards it.
Oh,
but
okay.
Anyway, I felt like I would communicate some of my vulnerabilities to you, but boy, I was having these, I guess what they call panic attacks. It wasn't all the way panic attacks, but I would have these spurts of just like feeling like overwhelmed, and I don't know what it's called.
You were having panic attacks.
Like I see panic attacks like when you can't, like Will Smith in Bad Boys. No. But yeah. And I think eventually.
No.
Go ahead.
You were having anxiety. That's what it was.
There you go.
That's what it was.
And I just wasn't sharing it. I was just.
And I knew something was wrong. And every time I asked, he told me nothing. But I knew. Because
when you living off one income, in a family of, what we had 4 kids by then, or 3.5, because Gabe was still being in the oven. It's a lot of stress in pursuing that goal, and I'm thinking like, this is something that she supported, and now here I am failing because we're in this situation.
But you weren't failing, though. You were doing everything that you were supposed to do. Just sometimes finances just don't come together. You rub 2 pennies together don't mean you gonna get what you need. Yeah. I'm just rubbing these pennies together.
So I think even though you were, like, initially I felt comfortable bringing my goals to you, and that you would, support them. And well, at that time, I'm like, oh man, like the weight of the world is on my shoulders, and I'm like, I don't know, like, I can't tell her this, we in this situation because of me. If I'd have just stuck to my job at WashU, bring home my little pennies, which was a few pennies less than what you was bringing home, then we would have been at least okay. But here I am putting out these goals that you supported, and now I'm failing, even though I was making grades, things like that. And so not having that trust to go to her about that anxiety I was feeling.
Sure didn't tell me.
I eventually told you.
It took you long enough, though.
Yeah, it took a year or so, but after I told her that, you'd be surprised physically how much better you feel.
Yes. So you suffered in silence for no reason.
I ain't know no better. I was a young adult. So that's what I tell you. Like, if you guys are talking, and yeah, you might agreed on something, but if it ain't going the way it's supposed to, that you thought it was supposed to go, still communicate that.
Yep.
That's how these all tie in, because when you communicate that, you're steady building that trust to let your significant other know that, you know, I can come to you, you know, when I'm feeling like this, and be able to vent to you and talk you, and that's going to help me feel better. And then once you do that, you can go out and conquer the world.
Yep.
But it's once again goes back to that trust, building that trust between each other. Something else I want to say about trust.
What you want to say
It just slipped my
about
mind.
the trusticles?
Oh, I don't know how. So when you weren't working,
Yeah.
and
When we was
once we commissioned
Okay.
the movie, you weren't working,
yeah.
and you were feeling like because you didn't work, your value wasn't as much as mine because I brought in the money.
Yeah.
And like I had to reassure you, like I felt like you were losing trust in yourself.
Yeah. I agree.
And so my job was, when I noticed that, was to let you know that, oh no, like the value is not in the money. I mean, there's value in the money, but there's equal value in what you're bringing as the stay-at-home mom to our 5 children. Now, I've seen some, look, nothing against stay-at-home moms who don't have kids. I don't know what you stay at home and do. I don't know.
So you mean stay-at-home wives?
Okay, nothing to get, look. Nothing against stay-at-home wives that don't have children. Because I'm sure there's purpose.
Yeah. And
I'm going to leave that at that.
yeah.
But when you are a stay-at-home mother of 5, there is always a school thing you got to go to, a doctor's thing you got to go to.
Yep.
I forgot this that you got to bring up there. You name it, every day of the week. And you definitely put more miles on your car throughout the week than I put on my car throughout the week. So, you know, when I saw you losing that trust in your role, it was my job to reaffirm that 100% this is equal footing. My role at the time, bring the money in. That's my, of course, be the father, do all things a father and a husband supposed to do, but on a basic level, bring the money in.
Yeah.
Your level, or your side of the family, was take care of all the things that come with being a household of 7. And I explained it like a cog in a machine. You got 2 main cogs, you got a bunch of little cogs. The 2 main cogs, if one of them stops spinning, it's gonna cause the other one to stop spinning. So if the money stopped coming into the house, it's gonna be hard to take care of them kids. If to take care of the kids in the household and all the stuff, if that cog stops spinning, then it's hard to go earn that money, because I can't be, oh, hey boss, I'll be right back. I gotta go to drop my kids off. Oh, I'll be back. They got a doctor's appointment. Oh, I'll be back. I got this. Oh, I'll be back. I got that. So like, for me, like, I never didn't see the value that you were bringing into the home at that time. But when I noticed that your trust in yourself was wavering, it was my job. It wasn't my job to be like, girl, you whatever, that's silly. It's my job to let you know, to give you the viewpoint that I see, that we are 100% in this thing together. There's no big I's and little U's in this relationship. Your thoughts?
I mean, hold that, because I'm gonna move. Get my life together. I'm back. So I agree with that. Like, being a stay-at-home mom, I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. And it was hard just because I am extremely independent. I'm extremely, go out and do what I need to do, get stuff done. I'm used to depending on me. Even though we were married, I'm still used to depending on myself to get things done. And even though he never made me ask for anything, even though I took care of all the finances, I used to feel so blah about doing stuff, just getting things for myself, just because I felt like it wasn't my money, even though he's never made me feel like that. it just was hard for me. And then I started feeling like, well, he brings home, this money, and me and the kids couldn't do anything without him. It's hard. It is really hard to, the self-doubt is real.
Explain the do anything without me. It's not.
What you mean?
You mean because of how the army is situated, right?
What you mean?
You said y'all couldn't do anything without me.
No. Meaning like I couldn't just go out and just do stuff I wanted to do without you, which I could, but I just felt like, man, I'm spending this money. I'm not working, like, so it just makes you feel dependent. And the hardest thing for an independent person to feel is dependent. And I mean, we talked about this. Me being a stay-at-home mom was the right choice. They had half-day kindergarten. We had stair-step kids, meaning one right under each other, like 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, like literally they were, a year apart. And so, when you're dealing with that type of stuff, then it was the best thing to do for us. Like I said, they didn't have full-day kindergarten. They only had half-day kindergarten, and it just wasn't worth it. And then, once the kids all did get into school, you realize what you missed. So then, I stayed home longer so I could, be able to be with them, be a part of them and things like that. But in the midst of me being great to my kids, I felt like I just was losing myself and I wasn't being great to me. Just because I just doubted everything about me. I felt like I just was not the same person. And again, it had absolutely nothing to do with Nick. Nick was always encouraging, always supporting. I'd go hang out with my friends. Like, it was nothing I could not do, really. Like, I was living the woman's dream. Like, I had a supportive husband. If I needed something, I truly could go buy it. It never was no second guessing. Like I said, I took care of the finances, but just, becoming dependent was something that was really hard for me. And it was something that I struggled with. But again, it had absolutely nothing to do with him, but he supported me the entire way. Until I kind of eased into my role better, figured it out better, and just start finding different things I could do to make me feel, I guess, less than, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So to wrap it up.
Always.
Trust is important. I think what people always tell you when they know that you're about to get married is, make sure you stay faithful and make sure you don't cheat and this and that. I think that is the basic level of trust.
Yeah.
But when you get down into those other levels, you have to make sure that you're spending time building trust in those different areas, whether it's building trust in finances, building trust in being vulnerable, building trust in knowing that your partner's going to communicate, which I'm working on it because I'm a low volume communicator. I don't communicate a lot. She's a high volume communicator, but working on those levels of trust beyond the easy, beyond staying faithful. Yes. Stay faithful. Boom. Check the block. But when you're working on all those other layers of trust, that is when, for us, I think has helped to make our relationship stronger.
Boom.
So you got to work on it.
Boom.
Right? Just like everything we talk about. We ain't won the trust game.
No.
I think we've gotten better at it, and
absolutely.
we've been able to help build our relationship.
Absolutely.
But it's all work in progress.
Absolutely.
So
boom.
That's trust.
Bam.
I was out here looking rough while searching for you to love.